Hey everyone, welcome to Strange Stories, where we explore near-death experiences and supernatural stories from people who've had a glimpse of the other side. If you enjoy our content, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. Without further ado, let's get to the story of the day. It's dark, but I can hear cars passing by, so I'm thinking it's around 4 a.m. I'm at ease, and although I'm usually awake at this hour, the baby is sleeping, so I might be able to sleep for another hour. So I gave it my best attempt. I roll over and feel a hot surge in my pants, the familiar sensation of blood engulfing my feminine products. Wait, I'm expecting. My consciousness abruptly returns to reality. I hurriedly get up, dash into the bathroom, drop my blood-soaked pajama bottoms to my ankles, and sit on the toilet, blood shooting out. I scream for my hubby. He dashes into the restroom and takes a rapid assessment of the situation. His eyes are filled with horror. I asked him to get my cell phone. I had to dial 911. He promises he'll call, but I insist on him having my phone. He does, and I make the decision. Meanwhile, he's on the phone, dialing 911 on his own. "What's your emergency?" the woman says quietly. "I urgently require an ambulance. I'm pregnant and spraying way too much blood." "Can you see the baby's head, ma'am?" "No, and I'm not going to do it. I have previa placenta. The infant has no way out. Please dispatch an ambulance immediately." "How far are you along, ma'am?" "Approximately 6.5 months. Please, this is not the time. I require an ambulance." "Would you please look, ma'am, and tell me if you can see the baby's head?" "Lady, as I already stated, the baby has no way out. The delivery will be a C-section anyway. This is not acceptable. My bathroom looks like a murder scene. There's way too much blood. It's not going to stop. Please stop asking questions and dispatch an ambulance immediately." She asks for my name and address, as well as the name of my spouse, and I frantically give her all of the information. "I've just learned that Lane is currently speaking with us. You should hang up the phone and go lie down till they arrive." Lane is on the phone, and I can't understand what he's saying. He helps me up and half carries me to the couch in the living room. I see a blood trail on the carpet. I sat down, unsure what to do. He's pacing on the phone and telling me to lie down. I don't want to, but I need to make sure they understand my condition when they arrive. I'm dizzy and trying to stay upright. My eyes are tired. I can hear the sirens approaching. Everything then goes dark and silent. Before I awoke and noticed men jostling my body, I felt like an eternity had gone. I noticed my husband across the room conversing with 2 uniformed soldiers. I'm not sure if they're police or fire department uniforms, but I'm concerned since my house is in such disarray and my living room is crammed with several unfamiliar men in various uniforms. "June, we're going to lift you. Don't argue with us. Something must be placed beneath you. You're bleeding profusely." My body is being pulled to one side and then pushed to the other as they put a thick plastic or vinyl-like material under my entire body. It reminded me of a body bag. Nothing is making sense. I was unable to move or speak. I felt like a stranger watching things through the eyes of someone else. I couldn't move my body voluntarily, and I felt disconnected from myself. Ready? 1, 2, 3. As the couch leaves me, I feel my body wrapped in the plastic cocoon and the weight of my body suspended. They threw me down on my back. I was placed on a very thin plank with straps around my waist. I'm afraid I'll tumble off the plank because it's so narrow. The straps do not appear to be strong enough to support me. I'm lifted abruptly, and the plank begins to travel fast through the living room, past the TV, and toward the front door. The men are yelling at each other, but I can't understand anything. The ride is rough as they bring me through the front door threshold, down the concrete step, across the grass, and down the driveway. When I open my eyes, I see stars in the sky. "June, please stay awake. I need to speak with you," the stranger requests. When I look to the side, I see that my street is clogged with police cars, fire engines, and an ambulance. My gaze is drawn to the back doors of the ambulance before being thrown around to see the police cars and fire engines once more. Before being lifted into the ambulance, I stare up at the stars once more. Before everything turns black and silent, the magnificent sky is overpowered by the harsh, artificial lights in my face. I'm weightless, timeless, and ageless in the darkness. I'm not feeling anything. There's no gravity, breath, sound, attachment, body, warmth, anxieties, or anything else. I get a sense of stillness, but I'm being propelled by a tunnel or tube vortex. There's still no idea of mobility. I just know I'm heading towards something or somewhere I want to be. It's a tremendous sensation. Pure black and quiet and complete happiness. There's no fear, anxiety, or expectation here. I feel a deep, supernatural love holding me. It's a feeling I've yearned for my entire life. It seemed like I'd finally got home after a long and arduous journey. I was exhausted, and it was a well-earned slumber. I'm lost in pure loving happiness, and I'm grateful to be here. It may have been 1,000,000 years or 1 second. In this time zone of absolute purity, there is no time. June! 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 Please bear with me. I need to know how far you've progressed. The bright lights in my face, the sound of sirens, and the creaking noises from the moving ambulance snuff out my loving delight. The males making darting movements over and around me. In comparison to where I was, the seeming war zone offends me. I wish that all would go away. I can see myself down there. I saw a sad yet lovely woman for the first time. I watched as a hairy arm connected to a crisp white, short-sleeved shirt extends across her torso and with a light blue gloved hand places a clear mask over her nose and mouth. With the other gloved hand, he reaches behind him and turns a tank dial. The other man pulls her arm out, yanks her shirt sleeve up, and inserts a little gadget into her arm, covering the unknown with tape. I see the driver gazing back and shouting, but I don't understand what he's saying. The men are yelling back at him, but it doesn't matter. I don't seem to care anymore. She appears to be at ease at this time. As I consciously return to the vast vacuum, I felt so much love and admiration for her. My head is violently shaking, and there are disturbing lights and noises. June. June. What is your name? I looked up at the man, who appeared to require this knowledge as if his life relied on it. Despite the fact that he appeared out of focus and nearly vaporous, I didn't even bother responding to him. It was too difficult to form words, so he just murmured my name. Are you having a boy or a girl? Girl. What will she be called? No, it's a trade secret. I pledge to keep the secret private. Please tell me what her name is. Morgan. Morgan requires you to take deep breaths and look me in the eyes right now. How did he get this position? It took a lot of effort to talk. Didn't he realize that? It was nearly impossible to form words and remember specifics. I wanted he'd leave me alone and let me return to the abyss. He didn't appear genuine. He appeared to be a figment of my imagination. I yearned to return to the loving, familiar surroundings. You've got a baby at home. Will it be a boy or a girl? His given name is Liam. June, you must stay up and communicate with me. Your children rely on you to keep talking. I will myself to return to my long-lost loving paradise, but I see myself below once more, and this time I am more aware. She isn't battling. Hello, ma'am? You have a son at home who requires your attention. When Liam wakes up this morning, he'll want to see you. Your husband cannot care for him on his own. Ma'am, your daughter will die if you give up. June. June. Have a look at me. As I see this scenario, I see her lifeless body, the mask covering her face, and I realize the importance of deciding what's best for her. I saw the men on either side of her fumbling with their arms and injecting her. The driver keeps returning his gaze. The three males were conversing and yelling at the girl on the gurney, who appeared to be a lifeless object. I had no sense of urgency. I felt disconnected, like if I were watching a movie in which you're like the protagonist, but understand that this is the final moment. I just know that no matter what happened, everything would be alright. I return home and let love wash over me. I savor it, and I'm eternally grateful for this place. I resumed my journey in a darkened tunnel where I had left off. There's no fear, anticipation, or senses. Just a thought. I was content to be in this comfortable, never-ending state. I am conscious of how grateful I am to be here. I'm still being drawn to something like a magnet. I am aware that I'm heading toward a location that I desire to return to, and there's a strong sense that I'm being accompanied to a location by a number of unseen beings. I'm not sure where this understanding came from. It was just a certain knowing. I have the impression that this is a decision I'm free to make. I let myself to float in the vortex, pushing the border to the event horizon. I become conscious of the fact that I'm a warrior of sorts, a being designed to make people uncomfortable and aid in the implementation of a necessary change, yet I have a sense of wanting the answer. I'm not sure what I'm expected to do or how. Regardless of my strength and commitment to always do what I believe in my heart to be correct, regardless of the compromise or sadness it may bring me, even if it isolates me, I'm captivated with the sensation of love, and that is something I'm destined to do. But the relief of being here is irresistible. I become conscious of the feeling that I shall return sooner than I think, and that the sacrifice I make now will be worth the sacrifice of this inexplicable moment. I know that going back is a decision I made for myself a long time ago. As I intentionally decide to return to my unhappy life, I am overcome with melancholy. I feel a kind send-off and the notion that these presences are inspiring me to do what I'm supposed to do on my own. I believe I'm capable of completing the task. A is aware that I chose to do something already and that I did not complete it. The presences provide me with a tremendous sense of affirmation and remind me that even if I'm alone, they will be waiting for me after I complete the task. They infuse me with love and support as I consciously agree that I'll be back in no time. I accept that I must return to the ambulance, not because I want to, but because I'm required to. My senses are overwhelmed by the attack of human innovations when I open my weeping eyes. Lights, loudness, sudden movement, and restraint devices on my body and face. I'm offended, cheated, and upset about the issue. As I sense the lovely enchantment fading, I fight with my memory to save it and never forget it. I understood at that instant that I'd been there before. The sensation of pure, otherworldly love with no attachment to anything, anyone, or even a body. It felt familiar, but I had no recollection of it before to that point. It was the usual sensation. I replayed it in my head as the siren went off, and after a few turns and a backward motion, the ambulance came to a stop, and the doors burst open to reveal a group of uniformed strangers wheeling my wheeled plank towards them. I pledged to myself that I'll leave my comfort zone and make a difference in the world. I think of the man I've been in love with for so long and how I never got to share my life with him. I think of places I've always wanted to visit and unrecorded music by obscure musicians that I haven't yet digested. Maybe music I haven't yet written. When I think of my Liam, I long to hold his future children. I think of my unborn baby and how her life is now in jeopardy. I'm afraid I'll lose her, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to look into her lovely eyes and tell her the story someday. When I was thinking about my future, I didn't think of Lane. It was the man that I couldn't have that I saw in my future, along with my 3 children and the wonderful things I still have to do and experience. I felt ready to live, yet I was heartbroken that I'd left the joy and peace of where I'd just been. During this ephemeral moment, I felt love-drunk and nostalgic, but it would fade faster than it arrived. I was in the hospital for a month before having another bleed out, which was followed by an emergency C-section. I conducted a lot of life contemplation and evaluation throughout that month. I kept returning to the memory of what had transpired. I decided to make significant changes in my life, reduce and eliminate superficial friendships and affiliations. My daughter was born preterm, but was otherwise healthy. I recovered quickly. My daughter is now 12 years old, and my son is 14 years old. 3 years after the accident, I divorced my husband. I finally had a relationship with the man I'd always admired, but it didn't work out. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the event and figure out what I'm supposed to do with my life.